Hello everyone, Ken and Loey here, this time with World of Tanks, and last week they released the big patch, the World of Tanks 1.0, and I thought that I would make a video on my thoughts on the improvements, primarily the graphics that they have implemented into the game, and first of all, what I would like to mention is that when you update to patch 1.0, make sure that you put on the map border, because for some reason they decided to make it so that they have the do not display thing as the default, and it even says enabling the setting may result in disorientation in battle. Well, if that's the case, why do you put it on the default? Anyways, they also changed some of the music. I did put on a little bit of the music, but not really too loud. Typically, I generally just listen to my own thing. So, just a little bit of background of my World of Tanks experience, so to say, is that I have 27,000 battles and 52.5% win rate. Not, well, it's okay, I guess. And then some of the vehicles that I've most played, mostly my KV5, because that was my very first Tier 8 Premium back in the day, and everything like that. So that is kind of a little bit of background of my World of Tanks experience. And the last time that I actually made a World of Tanks video was 2 years ago, believe it or not. So for World of Tanks 1.0, just look at this garage. Well, they still call it a garage, even though that we're out in the open here. It should be called like back to camp or something if they're gonna continue having the garage being like this. And you can see some vehicles in the background there, and also people walking around, which isn't typically something that I think that World of Tanks has really done a whole lot, because whenever you have an open top vehicle or anything, they don't well, here's a good example, the Ike of 72, they don't actually show any crew members in the vehicle, and they haven't had any moving animated people in the garage before, so that's kind of an interesting change they decided to do. War Thunder has made it so that they have people and open top vehicles and everything, so that's more of War Thunder's thing. So I actually do really like this garage change. You can also, well, I don't know if my volume is loud enough to hear, but you hear nature sounds also in the garage, which is kind of interesting. It really fits in with the scenery of kind of that lake in the background and the pond there. Really good stuff for the garage, really setting in, especially in between battles, if you're not constantly needing to grind something with personal reserve on. You can just sit back and relax and listen to the nature sounds a little bit here. And also what they decided to do was that they decided to put, every time that you visit the garage, either after a battle or anything, they show one premium vehicle over in this corner and show you the statistics of it. And and like I said, it changes every single time, which I kind of feel like that was a pretty good change. And the reason being is because especially for players who haven't really played the upper tiers a whole lot, I think mostly in this corner they show the tier 8 premium vehicles. My thought is that maybe someone who just is getting to that tier, they might see this vehicle out in the battlefield, and then they're like, hey, what is that vehicle like? What are their statistics? How do they compare to other tier 8 vehicles, to kind of be able to compare them without searching in the tech tree. And maybe they think, oh, that looks like a vehicle that looks nice, and you can actually purchase it right from here, even though that I think the 58 Mutz is Yeah, the 58 muts is in the texture anyway, so if you really wanted to, you could still look it up, but I mean, the option is still there, and so you don't need to dig in the tech tree and everything like that. So I think I'm gonna get into a battle here with my Type 4 heavy, and yes, I am using the AP gun, as I like to call it, with the 14 centimeter, and I'm using no premium ammunition. There's only 2 vehicles in World of Tanks that I actually have premium ammunition on now, since I just never use it, and that would be the Death Star for obvious reasons, and the SU-100Y, because that has unique premium rounds that reduce penetration for more damage, so I kind of feel like I still hardly ever use them nonetheless for both of those, but I feel like it isn't as game breaking. I don't know if that's the right word, but they don't increase your penetration, making armor irrelevant essentially. But without further ado, let's get into a match with these improved graphics. I do have the graphics setting at maximum for most things. I don't have it on ultra, and I was having some issues that when I had it on ultra and everything, that it would take forever to load into a match. When you get the team list, as you'll see after I get into a match here, I would be at this screen until like 30 seconds after the battle started, and so I had to tone that down. I completely removed motion effects, and you hear that music a little bit. Might be a bit quiet though, a bit too quiet to hear. And so especially like the track tracers is a big hit on FPS, I do believe, as well. And then I remove motion blur, and also grass and sniper mode, because, well, grass and sniper mode is more of a gameplay thing rather than actually needing to. So as we can see here on Serene Coast, look at those mountains and the trees. Like, everything just looks so nice in comparison here to how it was before in 9.22. Though it is really weird going from 9.22 to 1.0, I will admit. And we have a tier 10 game here, and with some tier 8s as well. And I picked the Type 4 Heavy specifically to really put a spotlight on some of the main issues that I have with World of Tanks. And now that I said that, players who've played World of Tanks before probably know what I'm talking about here. And I don't even have the 15 centimeter research to spam high explosive at everything, which I won't ever research until I get the tier 10, purely because you have to accelerate crew trading. I specifically call that gun the fail gun. But anyways, more on to the topic at hand. There's an Object 705A right there, and we have an Object 705A right here. Honestly, the 705A is way better than the Japanese heavies in pretty much in every respect. But anyways, just look at the scenery, you know, and there's the border as well. It's red for. I didn't see a setting to customize the color of the map border. I mean, it's not really a big deal, but it's always red. And that Type 4 Heavy is probably going to get obliterated from the 705A here. Well, most Type 4 Heavy, well, even Type 5 Heavies use the fail gun, so hit him right there. That weak spot on the cheeks is really, really annoying on the Type 4, by the way. Oh, maybe he's using an AP gun, I can't quite tell. Well, what's kind of unfortunate about these new graphics, though, what I will admit, is that since they updated the tank, the vehicles to their so-called HD state, it almost feels like since they improved the graphics by so much that they almost need to put in redo all of the vehicles again to make them on par with the scenery and how good it looks. It's just kind of my opinion on it. See, even the 705A has just bounced the side of another 705A here. People always seem to complain about how the Object 268 version 4 is overpowered, but I would argue that the 705A is a whole lot better of a vehicle with its side scraping than the 705A, than the version 4 is. Oh, there we go. And that stunning effect. Now we can double team the 705A on the enemy team here. Yep, there we go. Now I specifically chose this vehicle to show off that even tier 10s that have plenty of penetration to go through my Type 4 Heavy without any, well, if they know where to aim, because this tank does have weak spots, believe it or not, they can easily go through this armor. And I have had plenty of experience of higher tier vehicles easily going through the armor even without premium ammunition, but most people, they seem to just load premium ammunition whenever they see basically anything, as I call it, as I will phrase, anything that has a triple digit armor value, they will spam gold at you. So, and that 705A, I'm not exactly sure if, I don't know, maybe he loaded it for our 705A, you never know, but the Type 4 Heavy especially, it just simply cannot withstand any premium ammunition. It just doesn't have the armor, it doesn't have, you can't angle it like the Moisian, the Mini Mouse, so, and there we just get capped. But I think this was a good enough game to showcase my main concerns with World of Tanks, and my main concern is premium ammunition, but I do have other concerns as well, like the stunning effect. If you're in a big, slow, heavy tank, like the Type 4 Heavy, or even the Tier 10, the Type 5 Heavy, or the Mouse, or anything that really goes slower than 30 kilometers per hour, or even some that does go a little bit faster than 30, like, as soon as you get stunned, you basically can't really move, and it just decreases everything about your vehicle, your view range, your reload speed, everything by 30%, I do believe is the correct value. And it just makes it so much harder to play these vehicles. Like, for the Type 4 Heavy is a perfect example of this, where this gun has, as it says on the tin here, 1800 DPM. 1800 DPM. There are tier 4 tanks that have higher DPM than this tank. Well, let's just go looking around here. Let's go tier 9 light tank right here. This tier 9 light tank has nearly 2100 DPM, and light tanks typically have some of the lowest DPMs now after they made them go up to tier 9 and 10 here. And this tank has way more DPM than this tank does. And granted, it does 600 damage, but it has poor accuracy and aiming time, which makes it even worse. And you reload for 17 seconds, and if you get stunned, if you saw in that battle there, it changed it up to like 22 seconds. And this thing has one of the worst DPMs of all the tier 9 heavy tanks, I think, or pretty close if it isn't. And stunning, and you're in a big, slow, heavy tank like this, like, there's no way that you can dodge an artillery shell with speed or anything. and even if they splash even remotely near you, you're gonna get supposedly stunned for... I don't know how your crew could get stunned when you have 160 tons worth of steel behind them, but that just isn't something I guess I can debate. But it really makes some of these vehicles extremely painful to play. And whenever I play artillery, I don't really play artillery and feel gratification from stunning opponents. I played artillery, I don't really do it anymore because artillery is garbage now, but I always played them to deal damage from a long range. I never played them to stun people and get satisfaction from that. I never really enjoyed that aspect, and considering their damage output and basically everything about them are pretty mediocre compared to just any tank, it makes artillery worse. And these heavy tanks, playing heavy tanks, worse. So what I would really like to talk about right here is the premium ammunition problem, especially on the NA server that I play on, is a huge issue. I was even playing my T-15, my Panzer 15, the other day, and I was going up against other tier 3 vehicles, and this thing only has 30 millimeters of armor on the front for both the hull and the turret here, and there were plenty of people using nothing but premium ammunition on a tank that has only 30 armor, and they had guns that had like 50 plus penetration, and that was at tier 3. Tier 3. You know, and I mean, I was facing up against like some Valentines and stuff, Valentine 2s, which have terrible guns, but at the same time, and there's the premium ammunition that I stowed away because I'm never going to use them. Anyways. But they were basically throwing away their profits because it's tier 3. Like, in my mind, nobody cares, or at least I don't care, if I win or lose at tier 3, especially, because it's not like you're going to lose credits unless you fire the premium ammunition, ironically enough. And I just feel like nothing really has enough armor to need premium ammunition anyways, but it's even more important at the higher tiers with the Type 4 Heavy, where basically you might have decent armor, but especially with flat armor like this, as soon as people fire premium ammunition at you, like a good example is maybe the 121 or basically anything with a 122mm gun, they have heat ammunition that does 240 penetration, and that's nearly an 80mm increase over the standard ammo, and they, if they shoot the right spot well enough, they can penetrate the Type 4 Heavy with ease for the tier 9 vehicles. But they just choose to fire the heat, well, not always heat, but premium ammunition at you, and it makes your armor completely useless. The maximum armor that I can actually get the Type 4 to, angling correctly, is like 260, because of the weak spots right here that make angling completely pointless. I know I'm kind of going on and on about this, but it really makes it so that it's hard to really enjoy the game. And they really made great changes to the graphics. They look wonderful, and they made it so that shells also have like that tracer like effect from War Thunder had tracer shells, especially with their aircraft that like lit up when you fired. World of Tanks kind of incorporated that with the shells in this game, and it looks really awesome. They really they really improved the game graphically. Now, I won't say that every single map change that they made necessarily improved the gameplay, but for sure the visuals, they look amazing. And my biggest issue is that it really makes it hard to enjoy the game when an entire tank class, more or less, is completely pointless. Like, here's a good example. Like, everyone seems to claim that the Type 5 Heavy is overpowered because it has 270 and 280 at the front. And it's a super heavy, so it kind of has to have armor. So I don't really get that. But anyways, no, it says that the Type 5 Heavy has 280 turret armor. Well, the Object 430 has 300. Okay, so that's better. Automatically right there. It's sloped. It's in that circular, spherical look there. And then it has 160 hull armor. But it's sloped. At a really good slope, actually. So, effectively, this tank has pretty much 300 armor everywhere. And, well, granted it has a weak lower plate, like 90% of World of Tanks vehicles. But this tank, as a medium tank that can go 50 kilometers per hour, is better armored pretty much all the way on the front compared to a super heavy. And not only that, but the gun is also better. It has 6,000, not 6,000, whoa, that's a bit too much, 2,600 DPM. It has the same accuracy, better aiming time, and obviously better rate of fire because it's a lower caliber gun. It has slightly higher penetration, and it has 340 premium penetration compared to 249 and 282 penetration. And this is a super heavy versus a medium tank that can literally go twice the speed. So, I mean, yeah, the 430U is completely OP, but it really makes it hard to enjoy a tank class. It was one of my favorite tank classes, was the heavy tanks, because I really enjoyed the aspect of the game that you could bounce shells. Like, I really enjoyed bouncing ammunition by using my tank right and getting it into the right situations. But it's really hard to do that when everything you're facing has over 300 penetration, because tanks are typically, no, I say typically, are not necessarily designed to resist that high of a penetration. They might be able to resist 280 penetration or so reliably, but not over 300. And it makes it really hard to enjoy the game if your favorite tank class is made completely irrelevant by something they refuse to balance. And it really makes it hard to enjoy. They may I have been starting to try out light tanks more a little bit, and I really enjoy light tanks, but light tanks are essentially worse than most medium tanks of their same tier as well. So it really makes it so really hard for me to enjoy the game. And I plan to make, I had made plans to make tank reviews and stuff like that for World of Tanks, post replays that I enjoyed on of my good battles on there. But when you make the game like that, and then you make it so that you refuse to balance the premium ammunition, especially at tier 10, which tier 10 technically shouldn't even get premium ammunition because they're the highest tier. They doesn't really make any sense that they would even have that. Like 340 pen versus 280, that's, yeah. Anyways, basically because of this, I haven't really been able to enjoy the game really at all, and that really makes it so that it's hard for me to commit to making YouTube videos about it when they have that, and the game might look nice, but it certainly does not play it certainly does not play the way that I would like it to. If there for me personally, if there was no premium ammunition in the game at all, I would probably love this game a lot. But they don't. They have premium ammunition, and most of the time I'm able to penetrate enemy vehicles without using any at all, which is why I removed all of my premium ammunition. And yet the people who are either too lazy to flank or unable to hit weak spots, they just dab the 2 key, as they say, and just go through all of your armor, making your tank completely useless in some cases. So that's kind of my thoughts. I know I kind of went on and on about the premium ammunition and some of the artillery effects, but I really wanted to address that this game, even though that it looks nice, you can't just make a game look nice and all of a sudden it becomes really enjoyable. That, unfortunately, that's not how that works. So I don't know if I'm ever really going to make any more YouTube videos on World of Tanks. I mean, I might eventually. I don't know. I highly doubt that they're ever going to balance premium ammunition, especially on tier 10, to a point where I can actually play heavy tanks again, really, besides the 705A, but that's Russian, so I'm just going to stop it here because I know I'm going to go even more on and on if I don't. So it looks amazing, but it doesn't play amazing still. So that's where I'm going to end it off today. So thank you very much for watching, and please tell your thoughts of World of Tanks 1.0 in the comments if you would like to. Because I'm interested to see if anyone feels the same as me, like I suppose anyone would. So until the next video, or if I ever do make another World of Tanks video, have a wonderful day.